Easy Lacy snowflakes are very fun to do with this new template. You can see it's a 12 by 12 size, like all hot off the press templates. The instructions are right here, but just as important, as we zoom in, you can see some of the ideas. Now, there are 5 different snowflakes, so they're Dasher, Donner, and for the purists out there, I know it's really Donder, but it's okay. We've got Comet, we've got Rudolph, and we've got Blitzen. Okay, well, enough with the reindeer. We're going to get into the snowflakes. Each of the snowflakes has a couple of different sizes, so you get that option. Every single one has a center snowflake, so I'll show you how that layering goes. All of the instructions are right here, and if you did the Bodacious Blooms template, this is the exact same process. So let me walk you through it. Now I'm going to do the Donder, and I'm going to look at the largest one. The process is the same for every single snowflake. So I'm going to cut a square, and this tells me to do a 5-inch square. So this is what I have, is a 5-inch. My first step is to fold it in half, and I'm going to do that fold, keeping the fold facing me, okay? So my open edges are away from me. I'm telling you that because it's an important thing to follow. Then we're going to find the midpoint and make a mark. Now this is 5 inches, so I can measure and get to the 2.5-inch mark, or I could gently kind of fold it in half and make my mark, whichever you're more comfortable with. Then we're going to measure 1 inch and 1/8 from each of the points opposite me. So right here, I'm going to measure 1 inch and 1/8 and make a line. And I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side. So this is not along the fold, this is in the open edge. Now, the idea is that I want to take this point, the fold, up to this mark. So I'm going to fold it like so, and then I'm going to pull out a bone folder just because I think that really makes the creases nice and crisp. So I'm just going to push along that. Ignore my lines for right now, if you will. Now you can either take this one and fold it on top, or you can fold it underneath, whichever you like. It ends up looking sort of like a tulip. Does that make sense? And I'm going to also do my bone folder, okay? Just like that. Now, I have this kind of triangle looking piece, and I'm going to place this underneath my template, okay? I'm doing Donder, and I'm doing right here. So I want the point to be right at the point of my paper, just like so, okay? So line that up. It is important that you line it up exactly, so it should be pretty easy. The grid lines on the template are really going to help too. Now, I'm going to trace with a pencil the open areas. So there are channels in the template, and I'm just going to draw along all of those. And I'll notice right here it says fold. So I want to make sure that I do not cut those fold lines. So I just want to pay attention to that, okay? And I've got these down here. Now, with every template, I always lift it up. I don't just remove it. I lift it up and make sure if I can see all of those lines, okay? So I would do that, and then I'm going to take the template off. Now, at this point, some people are feeling like, well, wait a minute, I've got all of this extra paper. That's right, you do. We have to have all that paper so you've got something to hold on to as you start the cutting process, so don't let that worry you. Now, I do find that it works best to use the short bladed scissors when you're doing this kind of cutting. You're simply going to cut along all of those pencil lines, and then you're going to have this. Doesn't that look strange? So you can see that I was very careful, actually Gail was very careful, only to cut where the pencil lines were. So I've got this little notch cut out on each side, but this was just one line, so I only cut on the pencil line. Now I'm going to open it up, and it's going to unwrap, you know, just like when you made snowflakes as a kid, but these are a little more intricate perhaps. I'm going to open it like this. Now, because I used the Fresh Frost double-sided paper, I've got 2 options for my snowflake. And then I remember those that said fold. Well, what happens is they're kind of like a petal in that I can fold them like so, and I think I will bring my bone folder back in here just to really press those down. You will probably want to glue them down when you get them onto your project. Let me get a piece of white paper underneath so you can see that just a little bit better. Simply going to make these folds all the way around, and you can see that I end up with a snowflake that looks nicely intricate, but you know, it's just no big deal to make. Now let me show you a couple of ways that these can be used. Here is a snowflake, or a couple of snowflakes actually. These have been highlighted with the pearls in both the 3mm and the 5mm size. These have been matted on paper, and with that matting it exposes the fold so you see something behind it. And this is that small pattern that I showed you. You've got 5 of those, and that's been matted and put in the center. These have been foam taped together. There's another little snowflake there. On the inside of this card there is just one large snowflake. And you can use specialty papers with this. Look at this stunning one. This was done out of pattern paper, but also the suede paper. So the suede paper is soft enough that you can do the folds and still do the manipulation of the cutting and the folding. Don't know that you'd want to use the holographic paper because that's a very stiff paper, but isn't that beautiful? Well, I promised you easy snowflakes, and now you can make them your own.